Hello everyone. The events of the film begin with Flora dancing alone in a nightclub because she's lonely and has no friends. But she tries to meet a suitable person to dance with to break out of the loneliness and isolation in which she lives, but fails. The next day, we discover that Flora is a divorced woman who lives with her son Max, who sits down with a policeman from the juvenile care center to assess his behavior because he's being naughty, and that her behavior is bad. The officer tells Flora that her task is to protect her son Max from going to jail because he often breaks the laws. The officer advises Flora to let Max have a hobby to get out of trouble, and after the interview is over, Flora goes to work as a nanny in the house of a wealthy man belonging to the wealthy class of the neighborhood where she lives. Flora finds an old guitar in the garbage on her way home, then decides to keep it and takes it to the musical instrument repair shop to be repaired. She then returns home and presents the guitar to her son Max as a birthday present. But Max refuses, remarking that the guitar is old and worn. Max accuses his mother of failure, selfishness, and not caring so much about her home and her life that she has never given him a present in her life. And when she remembers that she has never given him a present in her life, Max says, "I'm sorry," of him on his birthday. She has given him an old, used present, but Flora fights with him because he talks down to her and then takes her with him to his ex Marianne's house. Jan is a famous guitarist and always accuses Flora of failing because she's poor and unable to provide a good life for her son Max. But Flora reminds him that she's the reason why he became famous when she took part in her first song with him when they were teenagers. What's more, she agreed to marry him at the age of 17 because she loved him. Flora refused to get rid of her pregnancy as Ya asked, became a mother in her teens, and was able to take on the responsibility of looking after her son Max. Unlike Jan, who abandoned her and her son because he divorced her and married another girl to fulfill his dreams and ambitions with her. Flora defies her ex-husband and tells him she's ready to learn to play the guitar and become as famous as he is, so she can take care of her son Max's expenses and provide for all his needs, then leave. Flora goes home and starts looking for guitar lessons on the internet, but finds that most of the free lessons are of no use to her. Then she sees a guitarist named Jeff offering guitar lessons for a fee, and decides to transfer some money to him to help her play guitar. Flora begins her first guitar lesson with Jeff, but Jeff first asks her why she wants to learn to play the guitar. Flora responds by saying that she wants to become famous to impress everyone, then starts talking with Jeff about music and its different genres. As the days go by, Flora continues to learn the basics of the guitar and discovers that Jeff also writes songs and asks her to sing one for him. And she seems to like the song so much that she imagines him singing along with her on guitar. Flora asks Jeff to publish the song, as she's sure it will appeal to the public, but Jeff says his attempts have failed before, but he'll think about it later. And the next day, Flora sees an advertisement for a singing competition in a cafe on her way home. Flora meets the organizer of the singing competition and discovers that everyone in the neighborhood can take part in the contest, which takes place every month, and that the winner of the contest receives 80% of the public's ticket money. Flora goes to her ex-husband Jan's house to pick up her son Max, but Jan notices the guitar with her and asks about the person teaching her to play guitar. Flora replies that he is a talented guitarist and singer named Jeff. Ian laughs at Flora and tells her that he knows Jeff well. He also says he's a loser who only offers guitar lessons on the internet, but Flora doesn't answer him and leaves with her son Max on the way. Flora asks Max what kind of music he likes. Max answers Flora's question by saying that he likes electronic music, in which modern electronic devices are used, and after arriving home, Flora goes to the park and starts learning guitar lessons with Jeff and imagines as usual that he is there with her. After the lesson is over, Flora talks with Jeff about her life and her difficulties with her son, and tells him she thought Max would be delighted when he finds out she's trying to learn to play the guitar. Jeff sympathizes with Flora and tries to console her, then sends her a song link and asks her to listen to the song. At night, Flora listens to the song and is so moved by its melody that she cries because she feels the lyrics tell the story of her suffering. And the next day, Flora talks to her friend Cassie about Jeff and tells her that he's a sensitive person, but she likes him. Days go by, and Flora is still struggling with the time to learn to play the guitar. And one day, Flora notices that Max has been playing music on the computer and discovers that he can compose songs and distribute music using electronic devices. Flora encourages Max to sing a beautiful song with her, then invites her neighbors and friends to a small party at the end that they hear her son Max's song, and it seems that all the guests are so impressed by the song that they dance to its tunes. Flora gets close to Max and goes out with him to buy some new clothes, and the next day, Flora talks to Jeff and tells him what happened with her, and it's clear that Jeff is happy for her, then surprises Jeff and him with the song, suggests that he work on updating his old song to suit the tastes of the new generation. Flora sends Jeff new lyrics for the song, and after the lesson is over, Cassie shows up next to Flora and tells her that Jeff is a really talented person and deserves to be admired by him. And the next day, Flora and Max go home together and see a girl named Samantha who was shooting a new video with her band. Flora notices that Max likes Samantha, who doesn't seem interested in him, and then asks her son Max to explain how he feels about Samantha. Max responds by saying that he thinks about Samantha all the time, but feels unable to reach her heart because so many young people consider her better than him and know how to relate to her. Flora turns Max's words about Samantha into lyrics, then tries to convince Max to sing the song and send it to Samantha to let her know how much he loves her, then visits various places with him to shoot the song with him, and after he returns home, Max does the video editing of the song, and Flora goes up on the roof of the house to talk with Jeff. Flora imagines Jeff sitting next to her, and they sing a song together, then talk and get closer to each other. Flora tells Jeff that she thought her life would get better after having Max, but was surprised when she realizes that she took on your responsibilities at an early age and dropped out of school to raise him. Jeff tells Flora about his difficulties with alcohol because he was addicted but managed to cure himself, and says he didn't manage to become a famous singer because he refused to sing in the bar, and suddenly Flora confesses her love for him. But Jeff reminds her that she lives in Ireland while he lives in Los Angeles and doesn't want to get involved with a fan thousands of miles away of him. Flora replies to Jeff saying she's ready to fly to Los Angeles for him, and the next day, Flora meets her ex Jan and asks him to pay attention to Max as she'll be traveling to Los Angeles for a month, but Jan refuses to look after Max while she's away, arguing that he's busy creating a new band. Flora meets her friend Cassie and asks her to stay with her son Max during his trip to Los Angeles. But Cassie tells him she has a little girl she's trying to take care of and doesn't have time to stay with Max, who was trying to steal an expensive musical instrument from one of the stores. The shopkeeper manages to catch Max and then reports him to the police and the police station. The officer shocks Flora when he tells her that her son Max is facing a prison sentence in the correctional facility because he has exceeded the number of screams allowed for children his age. Flora tries to convince the officer to give her son Max one last chance, but the officer says the case is out of his hands and he won't be able to help. Flora leaves the police station in a huff, then questions Max about the reason for his childish actions. Max asks Flora to stop cheating on him because he thinks she's trying to get rid of his presence in her life in some way, because he's overheard her conversation with Jeff and discovers that she's been cheating on him. He then accuses her of being selfish for thinking only of herself and asks her to get out of his life. On the day of the trial, Max is sentenced to 8 weeks in the correctional facility, but Flora asks the judge to listen to her as a committed mother and explains that she is a divorced woman and that her son is everything in her life, and that she works more than one job to save money for his care. Flora assures the judge that she is willing to pay the money to the owner of the store from which Max stole the musical instrument, and the judge seems to sympathize with Flora and decides to reduce Max's sentence from 8 weeks to just 4 weeks in the correctional facility. Flora leaves the court in tears, but is surprised to find that Max is happy and tells her he's proud of her for defending him, then apologizes to her for his bad behavior with her and promises to be committed while he serves his sentence. Flora talks to Jeff and tells him she can't go to Los Angeles right now because she wants to wait until Max gets out of the correctional facility to travel with her. Then she visits the judge and asks him to let Max take some musical instruments with him, and the judge agrees to her request. Flora goes with Max to the store where the musical instrument was stolen and buys him all the instruments he wants. Then he enters the reformatory and spends his time composing songs, sending his song to Flora after recording it using the new musical instruments. Flora hears her son Max's song and seems to like the lyrics, which talk about her life with her son Max, then decides to send the song to Jeff, who seems to like it, too. And 4 weeks later, Max emerges from the reformatory to find Flora waiting for him. Flora returns home with her son Max and notices that he's still thinking about Samantha because he's always watching videos of her songs with his friends. Flora decides to form a band with her son Max and enters the monthly singing contest at the local cafe. Max, Flora, and her ex-husband Ann are present at the contest, and Jeff participates to play with them via a live internet broadcast and sings between the song Max composed in the reformatory and the audience interacts with them, and everyone is happy with Max's success. Flora has raised her son and realized her dream,